What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Wednesday, July 3rd. Tuesday, we saw some interesting results. We saw Arrieta get off to a terrible start there in the Houston-Toronto game that killed our no-run first inning play. Atlanta, man, we saw Lopez only go 4 1/3 innings, and the bullpen gave up 3 runs, and we got absolutely no offense out of Atlanta, so that killed Atlanta -1.5. We did hit the Phillies +110. That was a dominant win by them, and a 3-run home run in the 9th made things a little bit close, but we don't care about that. We came away with the win, getting some plus money there. The Royals couldn't come with any offense in their game. It was a weird game with some rain delays and stuff like that, so unfortunate to take the L there, but we finished things strong with a win on Baltimore -112. That was a nice one, and we also easily hit that over in the Diamondbacks-Dodgers game. Over 8.5 seemed good as gold in that one pretty much the whole way, so we'll definitely take that. A 3-3 day, though, not exactly what we're looking for. Let's get back after it with a full Wednesday slate, but before we get into the games, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Boston Red Sox taking on the Miami Marlins. The Red Sox come into this game fresh off of a Game 1 win there at Miami. They won 8-3 in that one, so at 45-39 on the season, probably feeling pretty good about themselves. They're handing the ball in this game to Brian Bello, who's 7-5 this season with a 5.55 ERA. He's coming off a pretty terrible start there, guys, against the Blue Jays. He followed up a decent start with a terrible one. His first start, he only gave up 2 earned runs over 6 innings, and then his very next start against Toronto, guys, he went 2 1/3, gave up 5 hits and 7 earned runs. So pretty mediocre start, definitely in a bounce back position. In general, guys, the Red Sox bullpen has been pretty decent this season. Not a lot of major complaints from me. Maybe not the best lately, but still 8th in the majors with a 3.63 bullpen ERA, so not too worried about that. In terms of their offensive production, they've scored 8 and 4 runs respectively over their last 2 games, so looking okay there. We see they're 13th in the majors in runs scored, but they are top 10 in all the other major categories, guys. They are 7th in team batting average, batting .252 as a squad. They are 7th in slugging percentage with a .419 slugging percentage and getting on base at a .321 clip. That will certainly work, so no major complaints here for me about the Red Sox. They're taking on a Miami Marlins team that, for no shocking news here, they are having a very rough time. They're 30-55 on the season. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games. They're handing the ball in this one to Trevor Rogers, who's 1-8 this season with a 4.87 ERA. He's actually been throwing the ball fairly well over his last 4 starts, we'll give him credit for. His last time out, it was at the Phillies. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs. He did give up a home run in that game, and he also walked 4, but it's a game we saw Miami eventually win 7-4. They've actually won in each of his last 2 starts, and both of those outings have been pretty solid, so we'll give him some credit here. But man, you have a lot to overcome in terms of this pitching staff with the Miami Marlins bullpen out there. Been one of the worst 5 bullpens in the major leagues all season long. No major question about that. Terrible bullpen and an offense that's definitely not having the best time this season, or really in general right now. I mean, they've scored 3, 6, 3, and 0 runs over their last 4 games. Not amazing stuff there. They're 29th in the majors in runs scored and dead last, even behind the White Sox in terms of on-base percentage, only getting on base at a .280 mark. Not a good offensive team, guys. A .350 slugging percentage is pretty embarrassing. Just not a good offense. Not running any guys up there that scare me. This team has major problems, and I'm a little bit surprised to see the numbers as close as they are. We've got the Red Sox at -142, the Marlins at +125. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. I think a lot of the respect for the Marlins here is due to Trevor Rogers being on the mound. He's been throwing the ball well lately. There's absolutely no doubt about that, even against solid competition. But is he going to look as good against the Red Sox as he looked against the depleted Phillies? I think he's being slightly overvalued here, guys. Go ahead and give me the Red Sox -142. Is this going to end up in the pinned comment? I would say it's definitely got a chance, guys. Boston is 24-16 on the road, and the Marlins are only 16-27 at home. We're also interested in that over 8. I would say we're very interested in over 8 because the Marlins are 30-13-1 to the over when playing at home, and we also see the Red Sox are a solid, over team. Maybe not solid, but a decent over team when playing on the road. So give me over 8 and definitely give me the Red Sox -142. One of those 2 plays is going to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. We saw a crazy game from them in game one of this series with the White Sox eventually losing 7-6. Chicago obviously having a terrible season. They're handing the ball in this one to Eric Feedy, who's 5-3 this year with a 3.23 ERA. He's been one of their major bright spots this year. He's the reason that White Sox fans have hope for the future. He's coming off kind of a mediocre start against the Dodgers. He gave up 4 earned runs on 5 hits over 6 innings, but his 3 starts before that were all very, very good, albeit against some mediocre opponents, but still, we're going to give this guy some credit. He's managed to rack up some wins while pitching for the worst offense in baseball. So definitely going to give Feedy some credit here. Not a ton of credit headed the way of the White Sox bullpen that's been one of the worst in the majors with a 4.57 bullpen ERA. Pretty weak stuff there. This offense has actually been finding some success lately. I mean, they've scored 6, 4, 11, 5, and 1 run respectively over their last 5 games. They're actually 3-2 over their last 5, but they have dropped their last 2 in a row. Pretty disappointing stuff to get walked off on by a sacrifice fly there in their last game, but in general, you can't expect too much when you're the worst offense in Major League Baseball in terms of runs scored and in terms of slugging percentage. They're batting .220 as a team. They're only getting on base at a .281 clip. This is just an absolutely terrible offensive team. No question about that. They're going up against the Cleveland Guardians squad that has to be a little bit embarrassed things got that sketchy against the White Sox in game 1. They're 53-30 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Gavin Williams, who's 3-5 this year with a 3.29 ERA. He's coming off a very good start against the Rangers, where he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, and only 1 earned run. The start before that, he got a little bit roughed up at San Francisco, but 6 innings and 3 earned runs, not the end of the world. His start before that against the Twins was very good. So just in general, we can feel very, very good about Gavin Williams out there on the mound, in my opinion. And the Guardians bullpen maybe didn't have the greatest time last night, but they're still 7th in the majors with a 3.60 bullpen ERA. So nothing wrong with that. Feel pretty good once this bullpen comes into the game. And the offense did put up 7 runs in that game. They've scored 7, 2, 7, and 3 runs respectively. Haven't been super consistent lately. I mean, we obviously expect big things from Jose Ramirez every time he comes up to the plate, but other than that, this team definitely has some things to work on offensively. However, they are top 10 in the majors in runs scored this year. They're 10th in on-base percentage, getting on base at 319 clip, so maybe they're not my favorite offensive unit in the majors, but things look okay for them right now, and I expect them to maybe get after it against Feedy, but definitely to be able to put up some runs against that White Sox bullpen when they eventually come into the game. So looking at the numbers for this one, we see the White Sox at plus 158. We see the Guardians at minus 175. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The White Sox are an MLB worst 8-33 on the road this season, so that's not great, not something we love there. We also see they are 22-19-1 to the over when playing on the road, so that's a little bit interesting. But guys, Cleveland is 27-9 at home. That's an MLB best mark at home. We also see they're 20-13-3 to the over at home. So if you guys wanted to take a look at over 8.5, that could definitely make sense to me. But the bet I really like this game in this game is the Cleveland Guardians minus 175. I think there's an excellent chance they win this game very comfortably. If you wanted to take a look at Cleveland minus 1.5, couldn't fault you at all there. I mean, it's at plus 120 is the best price you can find on that. Maybe more like plus 115 would be more reasonable. But in general, guys, against Feedy, that seems a little bit greedy. So I'll just go ahead and take the Guardians minus 175 in this spot. I think they win this game the vast majority of the time after surviving a scare there in game 1. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cardinals come into this game fresh off of a 7-4 win there at Pittsburgh in game 1 of this series. We saw Nolan Gorman hit a grand slam home run to, open up that huge lead there. Things are looking up for the Cardinals, who are at 44-40 on the season. They've won 3 out of the last 4 games, so things are coming together for them. They're handing the ball to Miles Mikolas, who is 6-7 this season with a 5.32 ERA coming off of his worst start of the season, guys. He got absolutely destroyed by the Reds. He went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 12 hits and 9 earned runs. Absolutely terrible stuff from a guy who's been decent this season, but his last start before that debacle against the Reds was against the Giants, and he didn't look great in that one either, so maybe he's headed back to his struggles. We'll have to wait and see here, but not a guy that I'm super high on at the moment. The Cardinals bullpen has been trending in a positive direction recently. They're up to 12th in the majors with a 3.89 bullpen ERA, and definitely a bullpen that you can trust a lot more now than you could trust them early in the season. The offense is coming alive a bit too. I mean, we're not going to get too excited. I mean, they've scored 7, 2, 4, and 1 run respectively over their last 4 games, winning 3 out of 4 of those. Pretty solid stuff. Over the course of the season, though, they're still 27th in the majors in runs scored and 20th in on-base percentage. not an offense that you can count on to put up a ton of runs, but they might not have to put up a ton of runs here going up against the Pirates, who aren't having a great time. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They're 40-44 on the year, handing the ball to Jared Jones, who's 5-6 this season with a 3.66 ERA. He's coming into this game fresh off of a fantastic 7-inning appearance against the Tampa Bay Rays, where he went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits and only 2 earned runs while striking out 8 and walking 3. Very, very good stuff from him. No complaints there at all for me. He hasn't faced the Cardinals yet this season, so that's probably a positive for him. They don't have any familiarity with his stuff, whereas Michaelis has faced the Pirates. It was back on the 11th of this month, and he looked dominant out there, going 7 innings, only giving up a single hit. So if he wasn't looking so terrible coming into this game, maybe we'd feel better about him. But in general, guys, looking at that Pirates bullpen, it hasn't been terrible. A 3.98 bullpen ERA has them right around MLB average, so we're not too worried about their bullpen, but also, not necessarily a lockdown squad out there. In general, this offense, over the last few games, they've scored 4, 4, 1, and 1 run respectively. So pretty weak stuff. Not expecting great things from this offense, obviously. They're sitting at 25th in the majors in runs scored, 27th in the majors in team batting average. Just not a lot of positives to find for this team at the plate at the moment. We saw Brian Reynolds' long hitting streak end there, so that's another negative. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Pirates at -120. We see the Cardinals at +110. We see an over-under of 8 in this game. The Cardinals are only 19-22 on the road. Pittsburgh's only 19-20 at home. We see mixed trends towards the over-under here, but in general in this game, I'm tending to look slightly towards possibly a no-run first inning or an under 8. I'm not sure who's going to win this game. Michaelis having such positive trends against the Pirates his last time out definitely makes me, like him a bit in this spot, as this could be like some sort of a bounce back for him. Also, I'm a little bit scared of Jared Jones, considering the fact that he just had such a long start, or at least for him. So yeah, not going to be betting this game myself, guys. Go ahead and give me under 8 or the no-run first inning, but in general, this is a stay away spot for me. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New York Mets going on the road to taking the Washington Nationals. The Mets come into this game fresh off winning the first 2 games of this series. They won game 1 9-7, game 2 7-2. They're handing the ball in this one to Christian Scott, who's been recalled from the minor leagues. His last big league start was back on the 30th of May. He didn't do terrible in that one. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And in general, this season he hasn't been terrible, but maybe hasn't been dominant. Well, we can look at him as decent for sure, and I would assume he's been having success in the minor leagues, or they wouldn't have called him up for this game. The Mets bullpen in general has not had a great time this season, but they've been trending in a positive direction with a 4.18 bullpen ERA. So, take that with a grain of salt. We'll see what they can actually do in this game, but they haven't been terrible in this series, and they haven't been terrible lately. So give them a little bit of credit. This team has really rebounded. They're up to 42-41 on the season. We see this team currently sitting in 9th in the majors with 402 runs scored this season. They're top 10 in batting average also. They're 6th in the majors in on-base percentage. This team has just really turned things on over their last 20-25 games, something like that, and are looking much, much better. We'll see if they can, keep this run going here with a 3rd straight win. They're taking on a Nationals team that has lost 3 in a row. They're 39-46 on the season, handing the ball to Mitchell Parker, who's 5-4 this year with a 3.32 ERA. He's coming off a very good start at Tampa Bay, where he went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. He struck out 5 and walked 1 in that outing, and honestly, over his last 5 starts, they've all been very, very reasonable. Unfortunately for him, we've seen the Nationals only go 2-3 over those starts, so you can only do so much out there as a starting pitcher, and it's not going to act like he's been perfect out there. The Nationals bullpen has definitely been a little bit better than expected this season. They're sitting right there around league average with a 3.98 bullpen ERA. Haven't necessarily been having a fantastic time lately, but we'll see what they can do here in this game. The real question is, what are we going to see from this offense? They've scored 2, 7, 0, and 8 runs respectively over their last few games. Maybe not firing on all cylinders right now. We see CJ Abrams leading the way for them. They're 19th in the majors in runs scored and 21st in the majors in team batting average, so not exactly fantastic numbers. They're a very low power team, not great slugging percentage numbers, and yeah, their on-base percentage is only .304, so not exactly an offense we're super stoked about. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Nationals at +115, the Mets at -124. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. We do see the Mets are a staggering 23-10-2 to the over when playing on the road this season, so that might be something to take a look at, that over 8.5. The Mets are also 19-16 on the road, so they're a pretty decent road team, and they're definitely the hotter team coming into this game. Washington's only 17-20 at home. In general in this game, guys, I lean maybe a little bit towards that over 8.5. I also like the Mets -124 a bit, but probably not enough to put them in the pin comment. Them winning 3 straight games here against the Nationals, and that's at Washington, seems like kind of a big ask to me, so this is just a slight lean, very unlikely to go in the pin comment. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Reds come into this game fresh off a 5-4 win there in Game 1 at Yankee Stadium, so got to be pretty happy about that. We saw Elly De La Cruz triple, and yeah, he just killed it in that game. A triple and a home run there looked very, very good. The Reds are handing the ball to Andrew Abbott in this one. He's 7-6 this year with a 3.41 ERA. He's coming off a good start there against the Cardinals. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits and 2 runs. He did walk 6 in that outing, so that's not great. Gonna have to have better control than that going up against the Yankees. He's been good over his last 5 starts. He hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of them, and we see the Reds are 4-1 over those starts. So definitely positive things right here for Andrew Abbott. Also some positive things for the Reds bullpen, up to 11th in the majors with a 3.86 bullpen ERA, and the bullpen looked good there in Game 1 of this series. I mean, good enough, we'll say. So in general, pretty happy with how the Reds pitching staff is looking, and the offense, man, when Elly De La Cruz is killing it, this offense is killing it. But over the course of the season, they're only 15th in the majors in runs scored, and I think that's a little bit overblown, guys, because they're 24th in the majors in team batting average, 22nd in on-base percentage. Like, they've got some guys like Elly De La Cruz that when you get on base, you can expect them to move around, but man, you don't know how often they're really going to get on base. So I've got some questions about this offense going up against the Yankees and Carlos Rodon. The Yankees haven't been having the best time lately. They're very banged up. They're not healthy yet. They're going to get healthy eventually here. We don't exactly know when yet, but it's going to happen. They're handing the ball in this one to Carlos Rodon, who's 9-5 this season with a 4.42 ERA. He has had a huge fall off over his last 3 starts, guys. He got shelled at Boston, then shelled at home by the Atlanta Braves in embarrassing fashion, 11 hits, 8 runs. Then followed that up at Toronto. He did last 5 innings in that start, but he gave up 10 hits and 8 earned runs and 2 home runs. He's given up 5 home runs over his last 2 starts. Like, something is clearly wrong with this left-hander, guys. Things just aren't going his way anymore like they were in the early season. So we'll have to see what we get out of him in this game. It's kind of going to be a prove-it-to-me situation. Not very high on him. We just saw Luis Gil get shelled. So yeah, just not a good time to be an ace for the New York Yankees. The Yankees bullpen still 5th in the majors with a 3.53 bullpen ERA, but not exactly trending in the best direction. Haven't been having a great time lately, obviously, and the offense is clearly missing some guys here. I mean, they've scored 4, 8, 3, and 16 runs over the last few. Obviously, those 8 and 16 run outbursts look great on paper, but man, when you're missing guys like Stanton and Soto, like, that is a big, big deal. Stanton did do some light hitting on Tuesday, so that's a good sign for him coming back eventually here, but we haven't seen Soto since the 30th of last month, so we'll see how much longer he's actually out. There's a chance he'll be back for this game. We don't know for sure yet, but man, they could certainly use him. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Yankees are pretty big favorites. We've got the Yankees at -178. We've got the Reds at +160. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Cincinnati is 19-22 on the road. We see the Yankees are 24-14 at home, but a lot of those numbers kind of go out of the window here with them not being at full strength. Yeah, in terms of an over-under in this game, we see it's at 8.5. I don't think the over is a terrible play, but it's not one that I'm particularly interested in, guys. In this game, I think the best value here is on the Reds +160. Will they be able to win 2 straight games here at Yankee Stadium? I know that seems like a big ask, but I don't trust Rodon at all. Andrew Abbott's been throwing the ball well. The Reds bullpen's been fine, and their offense looks like it's doing well at the moment. So go ahead and give me the Reds +160 in this one. It has a chance to end up in the pinned comment, but I don't know if we trust Rodon to be terrible again enough to put this in the pinned comment. So you just have to check and see. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Astros come in this game fresh off of a 7-6 loss there in Game 2 of that series, so not what they were looking for there. We saw Springer hit a 3-run home run, and yeah, just a high-scoring game and did not go Houston's way. They're 43-42 on the season, handing the ball to Ronel Blanco, who's 8-3 this year with a 2.49 ERA. He's coming off of one of his most mediocre starts, at least in recent memory. He went at the Mets, which is a terrible, terrible place to go if you're a pitcher right now. 5-2 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, only 3 of them were earned. He gave up 3 home runs to the Mets in that game. So not great stuff, not his normal. His 3 starts before that were all very, very good, going up against Baltimore, Detroit, and the Giants. So I think we can expect decent bounce back stuff from Blanco, and this one he's been very, very good this season. Can't really say that for the Astros bullpen, guys. Has not been amazing. They're trending in a positive direction, though. 17th in the majors with a 4.04 bullpen ERA is much better than they have been at some other points this season. This offense, coming alive for sure. They've scored 6, 3, 10, and 9 runs respectively over their last 4 games. Jose Altuve leading the way with a 308 batting average. This team is 12th in the majors in runs scored, 1st in batting average, and 1st in on-base percentage. This is a very good hitting lineup, guys. They should be putting up more runs than they have been, generally speaking, this season. So I'm expecting them to figure things out as the season continues and see if they can put up some runs here against the Toronto Blue Jays, who are coming off that 7-6 win. They're only 39-46 on the year, though. Handing the ball in this game to Yusei Kikuchi, who's 4-8 this season with a 4.18 ERA, coming off of another start where he gave up 4 earned runs. He's given up at least 4 runs over his last 3 starts, and those were starts against Boston, at Cleveland, and then at home against the Yankees, where he did not have a very good time. In general, this season, he looked good in the early goings. I guess we have to give him credit there, but in general, he seems to be falling off here a little bit later, and something that's been fallen off all season long has been that Toronto bullpen, guys. Not a good bullpen. Once Kikuchi comes out of this game, we can definitely expect the Astros to put up some runs against that bullpen. Not a very good one. And yeah, in general, guys, can we expect the Blue Jays to put up some runs? Well, they did score 7 runs in game 1 of this series, so definitely give them some credit there. But man, do we trust them to put up runs in general? Well, guys, they've scored 7, 1, 1, 9, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. not necessarily having an amazing time. We just saw them have to put a guy on the 10-day IL. Like, things just not exactly looking up for an offense that's 24th in the majors in runs scored and 22nd in the majors in team batting average. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, I'm a little bit surprised to see the Astros at -105, the Blue Jays at -106. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. I think a lot of this is due to Houston not being great on the road this season, guys. They're 17-22 on the road. Toronto's only 20-22 at home, so not like an overwhelming trend. Not super interested in the over-under in this game, guys, but I think we're going to go back and hope they can come through for us this time. We're going to go back to the Astros -105. I do think Blanco is going to come back and do something positive out there on the mound, and hopefully these Astros bats can get it after it against Kikuchi and against this terrible Toronto bullpen. Next up, we're looking at the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Giants come into this game fresh off of a 5-3 win there in game 1 of this series. They've won 3 out of their last 4. They're 42-44 on the season. Handing the ball to Jordan Hicks, who's 4-4 this year with a 3.36 ERA. Coming off a pretty decent start against the Cubs, he went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, and 3 earned runs. So not exactly great stuff, not exactly dominant stuff. His last couple of games, he's looked pretty hittable, and he was going against NL Central opponents, the Cubs and the Cardinals, not exactly the toughest hitting teams out there. So got some questions about how he's going to fare here against the Atlanta Braves. The Giants bullpen, always have questions about them, guys. 23rd in the majors with a 4.50 bullpen ERA. Not very good stuff. The offense has looked good lately, guys. Not going to lie, they've scored 5, 10, 7, and 5 runs respectively over their last 4 games. Good stuff for this offense. They've been pretty mediocre over the course of the season. I mean, they're sitting at 14th in the majors in runs scored, 12th in team batting average, also 12th in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 317 clip. So we'll give them some credit where credit is due there, but not an offense that I'm really in love with. I mean, they've got work to do. They've got some stuff to prove to me before I'm freaking out about, somebody like Matt Chapman leading the team with 11 home runs and a 238 batting average. Like, this is not an elite offense in my book. And they're taking on the Atlanta Braves, who come into this game losers of their last 2 in a row. They've actually lost 4 out of their last 6 overall to fall to 46-37 on the year. They're handing the ball in this game to Chris Sale, who's 10-3 this season with a 2.79 ERA, coming off a great start there at the Chicago White Sox, where he went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, only a single earned run, struck out 11 and walked 1, and took the loss in that game 1-0 because his offense couldn't put anything on the board. The Braves had to be pretty disappointed in what they saw from Reynaldo Lopez in his last start. So yeah, things are not looking amazing for the Braves. They need a good start here from Chris Sale, and they need a good outing from their bullpen, which obviously hasn't been terrible this season, guys. 4th in the majors with a 3.50 ERA. Nothing to turn your nose up at there. The problem has been this offense, guys. They've scored 3, 2, 2, and 6 runs respectively over their last 4 games. That's not great. Ozuna is slumping hard, no doubt about it. His batting average is now dipped below 300. This team's 18th in the majors in runs scored, below league average, guys. Below league average for this offense. Not where you would have thought they would be at if you'd watched them in the early season. They're 16th in the majors in team batting average, 17th in on-base percentage. Like, just not an offense that's exactly firing on all cylinders. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Giants at +170. We see the Braves at -196, which makes sense to me with Sale out there on the mound. We see an over-under of 8 in this game. San Francisco is 26-13-1 to the over on the road, so they're a big over team when playing on the road. Atlanta is 25-15 to the under at home. Guys, in general in this game, I don't really know which way to go. I don't have that much faith in the Braves to win this game in general, just given how poorly they've been hitting the ball. So if you wanted to take a flyer on the Giants plus 170, I could definitely see the logic behind that. I also think under 8 is very much in play in this game. Obviously, I expect Sale to shut down the Giants offense. I don't really expect that much from the Atlanta offense in this game, so my lean in this one's going to be under 8, but I don't think this is going in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. The Phillies come into this game winners of their first game of this series, and they've won 3 out of their last 4 overall. They're 56-29 on the season. They are handing the ball to Zach Wheeler, who comes into this game 9-4 on the year with a 2.73 ERA. His last time out was against the Marlins. He was very good. He went 6 2/3 innings and gave only 2 earned runs, but unfortunately, that was a game we saw the Phillies lose 7-4. So in general, guys, the Phillies bullpen has been great all year long. They just had a full bullpen start, so they're definitely expecting Wheeler to go deep into this game to take a little bit of pressure off the bullpen there, but I don't think they're too worried about that. They're probably a little bit more worried about their offense, but we don't know when Harper and Schwarber are going to be back necessarily, but we know that it's not going to be for this game, or at least according to all the reports that I'm seeing. So if you guys find anything else different out there, please let me know down in the comments. But overall, we don't expect to see them back for this game, and that definitely blows a big hole there in the Phillies offense. They're taking on the Chicago Cubs, who come into this game losers of their last 2 in a row. They're 39-47 on the year in the very bottom there of the NL Central. Handing the ball in this game to Shota Imanaga, who's 7-2 this season with a 3.07 ERA. He's kind of been their only bright spot, but man, that spot has not been that bright lately. His last start against the Giants, he gave up 3 earned runs on 5 hits over 6 innings. His start for that, he got destroyed by the Mets. He gave up 10 earned runs and 3 home runs in that one. So, in general, I think he's thrown the ball really well this season, but lately it's looked a bit sketch. I mean, he's a short guy. He's new over here in the majors, so maybe the book's kind of getting out on him a little bit. We'll just have to wait and see, but not somebody I'm super pumped about out there on the mound. And the Cubs bullpen, it's been fine this year. It's 16th in the majors with a 3.98 bullpen ERA, but not exactly a pen that I super trust, even going up against a team like the Phillies missing 2 of their better hitters. So a little bit worried about that, and definitely worried about this Cubs offense, guys. I mean, over their last few games, they've scored 4, 1, 5, and 2 runs, respectively. They're down to 20th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in batting average, batting .228 as a team. They're also 25th in slugging percentage. They're 15th in on-base percentage somehow still, but yeah, just not an offense that I really trust, guys. And looking at the numbers for this game, I'm a little bit surprised to see the Phillies at minus 126. The Cubs at plus 110. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. The Phillies are 21-15 on the road. The Cubs are 22-18 at home. Yeah, both these teams are under teams, but only by very slight margins, and I'm not interested in an over-under of 8. If anything, I would go towards the over, maybe if the wind's like blowing out or something like that, but really the value in this game, I think, is on the Phillies minus 126. I think with Wheeler out there on the mound, it should be closer to like 150, 160, and with Imanaga on the mound, somebody I don't really trust right now, and the Cubs having a bullpen I don't really trust, go ahead and give me the Phillies minus 126 in this game. It's got a very reasonable chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The Padres come into this game fresh off of a 7-0 loss there in Game 1 of this series. They've now lost 2 in a row to fall to 46-43 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Adam Mauser, who's not exactly been having a cakewalk recently, guys. His last time out, though, was, I guess, semi-reasonable for him. He went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs to the Washington Nationals. So not exactly dominant stuff. Not a guy we've been super high on this season. He's 1-2 this year with a 7.25 ERA. So major question marks for me about their starting pitcher in this game. And also, some question marks about this bullpen, guys. They're 18th in the majors with a 4.04 bullpen ERA. That is not great. So yeah, some questions about this team's pitching staff for this game in general. The bats have been pretty good over the course of this season. 2nd in the majors in batting average, 5th in runs scored. So good things there, but they've scored a grand total of 1 run over their last 2 games. So not swinging the hottest bats right now. When is Tatis going to come back? It's looking like not quite yet. Obviously, a tricep injury, something like that, can be a big problem for a hitter and an outfielder, just in general, not a great one. So we'll have to wait and see once he's going to be back. That'll give the offense maybe a little bit of a boost. And this has been a good offense this season, but they're going to have to score some runs to carry that pitching staff going up against the Texas Rangers, who are 39-46 on the year. They're handing the ball in this game to John Gray, who's 3-4 this season with a 3.77 ERA. He's coming off a terrible start, though. It was at Camden even yards, so we'll cut the guy a little bit of slack. His start before that was very good against the Royals, but he's been alternating good and bad starts for the last little bit here. So which version are we going to get here? I mean, the trend would say it's going to be the good version, but we're going to kind of have to wait and see on this guy. And I mean, the Rangers bullpen, not terrible, 20th in the majors with a 4.12 bullpen ERA. Not exactly something you're going to be super hyped to trot out there against the Padres hitters. And this offense has scored 18 runs over their last 2 games. So looking up, looking in a positive direction. They held Seager out of the lineup again for this game, so we don't know if he's going to be in for this one. They're 17th in the majors in runs scored, 19th in team batting average, batting .238 as a team. Not great slugging percentage numbers. They're not running a ton of guys up there that super terrify me at the plate. So I've got some question marks about this offense. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Padres at plus 125. We see the Rangers at minus 138. Yeah, that's an indication of what kind of faith the odds makers have in Mauser, and the answer to that is absolutely none. So we've got an over-under of 9 in this game, which also makes sense to me. But I mean, we do see the Rangers are 26-11-2 to the under when playing at home. That's a MLB best to the under number when at home, but not too interested in the under in this game. I mean, even with both teams showing trends towards the under, I just don't trust Mauser. Do I trust either one of these offenses to pile up a ton of runs, though? Not really. In general, in this game, guys, I'm leaning towards the Rangers again, but definitely not enough confidence here from me and John Gray to put this in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Tigers come into this game fresh off a 5-3 loss there in game 1 of this series. They're 38-47 on the year, so not exactly headed in the best direction. Handing the ball in this one to Keider Montero. He's 0-2 this season with a 9.35 ERA. Yeah, it's his 3rd start of the year, guys. He the last time out was against the Phillies, so a tough opponent, but he only lasted 4 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 5 earned runs, including a home run. His first start of the year is back on the 29th of May. It was against the Pirates. Didn't have a good time there either, so big question marks about this guy. He's very young, only 23 years old, tons and tons of time to mature and get better, but right now, not a starter that I'm super hyped about. The Tigers' bullpen in general this season hasn't been terrible, obviously. I mean, they're sitting somewhere around 13th in the majors with a 3.92 bullpen ERA, so that's fine, but man, very likely to face a lot of pressure in this game backing up this very young starter. And do the bats have what it takes to back up a tough pitching game? I mean, not really, guys. In general, this season, this team is 22nd in the majors in runs scored, 26th in the majors, batting .228 as a team. Over the last few games, they've scored 3, 7, 5, 2, and 0 runs, respectively. Just not having a great time. Didn't score a ton of runs in a series where they got swept against the Angels, or actually lost 3 out of 4 against the Angels. Yeah, just not a team I'm super high on offensively. And they're taking on the Minnesota Twins, who come into this game motoring right along. They've won 3 in a row now, 5 of their last 6. They're up to 48-37 on the year. Handing the ball in this one to David Festa, who's 1-0 this season with a 9.00 ERA. He got the win there in his first start of the season on the 27th against the Diamondbacks, but he went 5 innings, gave up 5 earned runs on 7 hits. So not exactly great stuff out there from Festa in his first start. He's only 24 years old. I think we can expect him to settle in a little bit here. I'm expecting good things from this guy over the course of his career, but like I said, first start did not go that hot. The Twins' bullpen in general this season has kind of been their Achilles heel, but they're trending in a positive direction up to 19th in the majors with a 4.09 bullpen ERA. So, that's not terrible. We'll give them some credit there. That's not awful. Bullpen headed in a much more positive direction, in a better spot than they've been at other points this season, and the offense is just sailing right along, guys. They've scored 5, 5, 5, and 2 runs over their last 4 games. The game before that, they scored 13 at the Diamondbacks. This team definitely has some pop in the bats. They're 5th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're 8th in the majors in runs scored. We see Carlos Correa leading the way with a .310 batting average. We got Ryan Jeffers with 13 home runs and 42 RBIs. Just a lot of positives to report for this offense. Things are looking good. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Tigers at plus 140. We see the Twins at minus 166. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. We see the Tigers are only 19-24 on the road. That's not great. Minnesota is 23-16 at home. We see mixed trends towards the over-under in this game. And with 2 young pitchers out there, even an over-under of 9, I kind of tend to lean towards the over. But in general in this game, guys, I like the Twins minus 166 a good amount. Their bats are hot. They're taking on a young, inexperienced pitcher that has not had a good time in either of his starts this season. I do expect Festa to be better here in his second start of the year, so go ahead and give me the Twins minus 166. Is this going to end up in the pinned comment? I would say it's got a chance. I don't have that much faith in Festa, so it might end up getting left out since this isn't a crazy appealing price, but like I said, it's got a chance. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. We saw the Rays get the 5-1 win there in Game 1 of the series. They now won 3 of their last 4. They're up to 43 and 42 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Ryan Pepiot, who's 4-4 this year with a 4.40 ERA. He's coming off a very good start against the Seattle Mariners. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 1 hit and 1 earned run. He struck out 8 and walked 2. He's looked very good in his last 2 starts, to be honest. Well, maybe very good's a stretch there against the Pirates, but it was a game that we saw the Rays win 10-3. So in general, things seem to be getting back on track for him. He's looking good out there, no doubt about it. The Rays bullpen, not one of the best in the majors, guys. To be honest, one of the worst. They're definitely bottom 5 in the MLB. They looked good, though, in their last game, so we'll give them some credit there. Maybe we could say they're trending in a positive direction. This offense is definitely trending in a positive direction, guys. They've scored 5, 5, 1, and 3 runs, respectively, over their last 4. They are only 23rd in the majors in runs scored, but they're up to 16th in on-base percentage, 20th in team batting average. They're just swinging the bats a little bit better. I mean, we saw Brandon Lowe hit a home run in that game. Like, things are looking up a bit for this offense that has had its struggles over the course of the season for sure. They're taking on the Kansas City Royals, who are now 47 and 40 on the year after losing 2 out of their last 3. Did not look good there in Game 1 of this series. They're handing the ball to Michael Wacha, who's 4-6 this year with a 3.91 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there against the Cleveland Guardians. He's actually been good in each of his 2 starts since coming off the IL. So, only giving up 1 earned run in each of those 2 starts, 2 total earned runs combined over his last 10 1/3 innings, 11 strikeouts against only 3 walks. Seems like Wacha is throwing the ball pretty well right now, keeping the Royals in these games and doing what he can out there. The Royals bullpen not having a good time lately, down to 10th in the majors in bullpen ERA, and did not look good there against the Rays in Game 1, so definitely some questions about that. They're going to be leaning on their offense to put up some more runs, but it's been a bit hit or miss, no pun intended, guys. They've scored 1, 6, 2, and 10 runs, respectively, over their last 4. Just not swinging the hottest bats right now. They're 11th in the majors in runs scored, 14th in the majors in team batting average. They used to be top 5 in almost all of these categories, guys, so not exactly trending in the best direction. 19th in on-base percentage, not a team that's swinging the hottest bats, but are they taking on the best pitcher in the majors? It is yet to be seen. Pepiot has been throwing the ball better lately. There's no doubt about that. He obviously hasn't faced the Royals yet this season, so we'll see what actually happens out there. But looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Rays at -108, the Royals at -108. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. Tampa Bay is 19 and 17 on the road. We see that they're 18, 17, 1 to the over on the road, so that's not super meaningful. Really no meaningful over-under trends, but we do see the Royals over the course of the season are still a very good home team, guys. They're 30 and 16 at home. I'm going to be leaning towards the Royals -108 in this game. I also think under 9 is in play. Wacha's been throwing the ball really, really well recently. Pepiot has also looked like he's, getting back on track here. Not a ton of faith in either one of these bullpens at the moment, so under 9 might be a little bit of a stretch. I also tend to think the Royals are in a decent spot, too, to get a bounce-back win here. But, yeah, guys, we're just going to have to wait and see. Maybe under 9 could end up close to the pinned comment, but generally nothing from this game. It really jumps off the page to me. Next up, guys, we got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Brewers come into this game fresh off of a 4-3 win there in Game 2 of this series. Yeah, we saw Hoskins get hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 9th inning to come away with that win. So, Brewers not exactly playing their best ball right now against a pretty terrible opponent. They're handing the ball to Colin Ray, who's 7-2 this season with a 3.61 ERA. He's coming off of a good start at home against the Cubs, where he went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 earned runs. So pretty solid stuff there. A good bounce back from struggling at the San Diego Padres. So we'll see what he looks like here on the road against the Rockies. A tough place for some guys to pitch. Obviously pitching at Coors Field, not the easiest task. The Brewers bullpen didn't look terrible last night. They're up to 9th in the majors with a 3.75 bullpen ERA. So that's all nice. But the Brewers bats have been a bit quiet, guys. They've scored 4, 7, and 7 runs respectively over their last 3 in this series. At Coors Field, they've only they did score 7 runs and lose. So I guess the offense isn't looking awful, but only scoring 4 runs there in Game 2 of this series is not great stuff. They're 5th in the majors in runs scored and 4th in the majors in team batting average. This should be a very good offense that should be licking its chops getting to hit at Coors Field. They're 4th in the majors in on-base percentage. This team should be poised to put up some runs here, going up against the Rockies, who have actually won 2 out of the last 3. They did just lose that tough one there in Game 2 of this series. They're only 29 and 56 on the year, so nothing to write home about. They're handing the ball to Dakota Hudson, who's 2-11 this season with a 5.84 ERA. He's coming off a very suspect start there at the Chicago White Sox, where he went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits and 5 earned runs. He gave up 8 earned runs in his start before that, so definitely not somebody who's throwing the ball very well right now. Not a lot of positives to say about him. Not a lot of positive things to say about the Colorado Rockies bullpen. Been one of the worst bullpens over the course of the season. You only get so much slack for pitching at Coors Field. And this offense, I mean, they did score 3, 8, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games, but they're going up against a pretty decent starter in this one, and this is not an elite group. They're major league average in runs scored, also major league average in team batting average. They're 21st in the majors in on base percentage, and they get the boost from getting to hit in Coors Field in half of their games. So not super high on this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Brewers at -155, the Rockies at +140. We've got an over-under of 11 in this game. Not super interested in the over 11, although, I mean, we see both teams showing trends towards the over, so you could take that if you wanted to, but I am interested in the Brewers -155. I think we're going to see good stuff from Colin Ray in this game. I think we're going to see the Brewers offense come alive and put up some runs, so give me the Brewers -155 in this one. I think it's a very good spot for them. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Angels come into this game fresh off of a 7-5 loss there at Oakland in Game 1 of that series. They're handing the ball in this game to Davis Daniel, who's 1-0 this season with a perfect ERA still. He's only going to be making his second start of the year, but his first one was fantastic back on the 27th. He went 8 innings, gave up 4 hits, and no runs while striking out 8 against the Detroit Tigers. So great stuff from Davis Daniel in that one. He looked fantastic out there. Absolutely no notes on that one. Definitely some notes for the Angels bullpen, though. 25th in the majors with a 4.60 ERA is pretty terrible. The bats also not looking terrible, maybe not looking great. I mean, they've scored 5, 6, 6, and 5 runs respectively over their last few. So, not bad. 21st in the majors in runs scored, 18th in the majors in team batting average. They're definitely swinging the bats better than that right now. So, take those stats with a grain of salt. I don't think we need to be too worried about the Angels offense at this exact moment. They're taking on the Oakland A's, who come into this game fresh off of that win. They're only 31-56 on the year, handing the ball in this one to Joey Estes, who is 2-3 this season with a 5.24 ERA. He's coming off of back-to-back pretty serviceable starts, guys. He had a good start against the Angels back on the 26th. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 earned runs. So pretty reasonable stuff from him in that outing, and his start before that against the Twins was also good. So he's throwing the ball well right now and has some positive history against this current team. The A's bullpen, not very good. 22nd in the majors with an ERA of well over 4, so not a lot of positives to report there. And obviously this is not a great offensive team, guys. They're coming off a game where they scored 7 runs, which is nice, but they are 28th in the majors in runs scored and 28th in the majors in on base percentage. They're only batting .221 as a team, not a good offense. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, kind of surprising to see this thing is pretty much a coin flip. I guess the odds makers are on the side of Joey Estes after he had that good outing against the Angels the last time he faced them. But in general, guys, I think this is a pretty good spot to look at the Angels -106 and a bounce back spot. They're definitely the better offensive team. Davis Daniel looked very, very good in his last outing. Go ahead and give me the Angels -106 as a small lean in this game. I do think they're in a pretty reasonable spot, even though they're not the best road team. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers. We see the Diamondbacks come into this game fresh off of a 6-5 loss there in Game 1. They're handing the ball to a minor leaguer in this game. It's Christian Mena. He comes into this game, he's shown some good stuff in the minor leagues, but in general, we think this 6'2", 21-year-old is ready for a major league start. Seems a bit sketchy to me. We'll see what he can actually do out there, but if he doesn't go deep into the game, that means bad things for the Diamondbacks, who have one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball. The offense hasn't been a disaster for them lately. I mean, they've scored 5, 3, and 4 runs respectively over their last few. Not hitting the ball as well as they have at some other times this season. I mean, this team is still 10th in the majors in runs scored and 9th in team batting average, batting .250 as a squad. So they can put up some runs, no doubt about that. Will they be able to put up runs here against the Dodgers? I mean, the Dodgers come into this game 53-33 on the season, winners of 2 of their last 3. They're handing the ball to Gavin Stone in this game, who's 9-2 this season with a 2.73 ERA. He's been looking very, very good lately. I mean, his last start, though, does give us some red flags, guys. He went 9 innings, a complete game there at the Chicago White Sox, gave up 4 hits and struck out 7 and walked none. So a great start there, don't get me wrong, but do we trust him here after getting stretched out so far in that start? Seems like kind of a tough sell for me, guys. The last time he faced the Diamondbacks also was back on the 21st of last month. He went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs in a game that we saw the Dodgers lose 7-3. So not feeling that great about Gavin Stone in this game, guys. I know his numbers look good, and I know he's backed up by a great bullpen. The Dodgers bullpen has been very good all season long, but man, not really feeling it for Gavin Stone in this game. And looking at the numbers for the Dodgers offense in general, it's been very good this season, no doubt about that. We saw Hernandez walk it off for them in Game 1. There were 11 total runs scored in that game. We had the over in that one, and we're looking very, very likely to end up on the over once again. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Diamondbacks at +180. I do think that's pretty live, to be honest. I wouldn't fault you for taking a flyer on the Diamondbacks +180, even though they're putting a rookie out there. That's a pretty good price, and you never know, he could have a good outing against a very top-heavy Dodgers offense. But in general, guys, I think the over is very much our play. We see Arizona is an under team when on the road. We see the Dodger team is an over at home. And with Gavin Stone coming off of such a long start and having bad history against the Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks putting a rookie starter out there, go ahead and give me under 8.5. This is very likely to end up in the pinned comment once again. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. The Orioles come into this game fresh off of a 2-0 win there in game 1 of this series. We'll take that, put it on the board. They're 54-31 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Dean Kremer, who's spent some time on the IL. He's expected to come off of it and make this start. His last start was back on the 20th of May against the Cardinals, and he did not have his best stuff. It seemed pretty clear that something was bothering for him for 2 starts in a row, because before that, he had looked very, very good this season. So we'll see what he has in the tank coming back off the IL. I don't expect him to go particularly deep into the game. I don't know what kind of pitch count he's going to be on, but we don't have to be too worried about that because the Orioles bullpen has been very good. A 3.44 bullpen ERA is fantastic. Top 3 in the majors. And honestly, could Kremer pick a better team to come back against except for than the Seattle Mariners? So yeah, seems like a pretty good spot for him and the Orioles bullpen. Offensively, they did only put up 2 runs there in game 1. Not exactly what we're used to seeing from this team, but Seattle's a very good pitching staff squad, so I think they'll take those 2 runs. They've scored 2, 2, 6, 2, and 11 runs respectively over their last few, so not swinging the hottest bats, but they are still first in the majors in runs scored and 6th in the majors in team batting average. They're also still first in the majors in slugging percentage, so not a ton of notes here for me for this offense. I am very terrified to see Gunnar Henderson take part in the home run derby, though. That can mess up some guys' swings, so obviously it's fun to watch, but I don't know if I would do it if I was him. They're taking on the Seattle Mariners, who come into the game losers of 3 in a row. They're really slumping right now. They're down to 47-40 on the year. They're only 3 games up on the Astros there in the AL West. They're handing the ball in this game to Logan Gilbert, who's 5-4 this season with a 2.72 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty good start there against the Minnesota Twins. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. He did give up a home run in that game, but in general, the guy has looked dominant over his last 5 starts, and we've seen the Mariners have went 4-0 over his last 4 and 4-1 over his last 5. So very good stuff coming from Logan Gilbert lately this season. Not a lot of notes from me on him. Also not a lot of notes on that Seattle bullpen. Seattle bullpen's been very good over the course of the season, no doubt about it. So looking at the numbers for the Seattle offense, though, is where the problems come up, guys. They've scored 0, 3, and 1 run respectively over their last 3 games. They only scored 3 games in the win they got against the Twins. So yeah, just not a lot of good things for this offense, guys. 26th in the majors in runs scored. They are dead last in the majors in batting average, even below the White Sox. They're 26th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're only getting on base at a 298 clip. This is a terrible offensive team. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Orioles at -102. We see the Mariners at -116. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Baltimore is 24-14 on the road. That's an MLB best mark on the road. We also see they're an over team on the road. Not interested in the over in this game, though. We see Seattle is 28-14 at home, which is nice. They're 27-13-2 to the under at home. Not taking the over, not taking the under. Honestly, probably won't be on this game in general. I am leaning towards the Orioles -102. I just don't trust Seattle to put up any runs, even against a guy coming back off the IL. So we'll see what actually happens in this one, but it's not going in the pin comment. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.